Good morning, everyone. It is your candidate for City Council District 2, Norris Tyrone Darden. Thank you for tuning in. As always, this is our Tuesday live talks with the candidate. We have a special guest. We're going to bring her on in a little while, just to kind of talk about the process and share some civic information that we all should have. But again, thank you for chiming in. One quick thing I want to say thank you to the Team Darden. So I've been working out a little bit. So my neck has got a little bit, can't close my button a little bit. So I was told, instead of putting the towel on your neck and kind of choking yourself out, just go ahead and put it in your top pocket. So I don't know if I'm starting a new trend or not, but thank you, team, for looking out for me. All right, guys. So one thing I want to talk about right now, I want to talk about what we're doing out in the community. So every weekend, we are out in the community. This is going to be our third weekend coming up. The first weekend we did on a Saturday, we did Delcrest. And on a Sunday, we did Eastwood. This past weekend, we did Lakeside, Foster Meadows area, Blue Rock Springs, and then kind of those areas in 4077 and 4070. And so as you can take a look there, we are out and, we're getting things done. That's my crew from Lakeside. That was on our first day. We had about 18 people total. So again, thank you guys for your support. What I want to say is this, though. As a candidate, you get to go and knock on people's doors, hear their concerns. Sometimes, even if they're not with you, they may be supporting another candidate. I see O'Shea Jackson, what's going on. They may be supporting another candidate, but we all in this community together. So it's good to sit and listen to their concerns and kind of talk about what's going on. Just on yesterday, I had a phone call from one of our neighborhood presidents, and she had some concerns. Instead of me saying, once I get into office, I'm going to make sure I take care of your concerns. No, I just text the councilwoman and say, hey, this is the person's information, this is their address, this is their concern. Can we make this happen? And I'm hoping that's what happened. That's what we got to do, guys. But big shout out to my Lakeside crew. Next week, we're going to be off on Foster Road in FM 78. Some of those stomping grounds that a lot of people don't even know is in District 2. Sunrise, Highland Farms, those areas over there, the Knolls, Chasewood, just making sure we're touching every part of the district. So if you are, how you doing, Candace? So if you are wanting to be a part of those volunteer block walks, reach out to me, teamdardensa@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on my cell phone, text me, 210-378-3618, and we'll make it happen. We'll be releasing later on in the week where we're going to be meeting at to get our yard signs, our door hangers, our T-shirts, our water, our snacks, all those things, so we can get out and do something good in the community. So we want to move next to our candidate spotlight. I want to give a special spotlight to Chris Dawkins. So Chris Dawkins was one of the last people to enter into the city council race. He said he had to think about it, talk to his family, talk to his community, which is understandable, but eventually he got in. And Chris Dawkins is out of that Lakeside area, that 4070, 4077 area. Actually, when we were out block walking and putting out signs and knocking on doors, he actually drove up because he was putting out some signs. And we had a brief past conversation in passing, but it's good to be out there and see the candidates working. I was out yesterday. I saw the mayor. He was out doing some things. He wasn't per se, but his team was. And then when I was out in Blue Rock Springs, I saw the councilwoman. She had a team out there doing some things. So it's good to see some people working, see some people doing their things. But Chris Dawkins, I want to say this. Darden and Dawkins, not to be confused. There's only one Darden in the race. So I don't want anybody to be confused. Dawkins is out there working hard, but Darden is your choice. So with that being said, good job, Chris. Keep pushing. But ultimately, we want you for Team Darden. All right, let's move on to our special guest. I see her anticipating me pushing that button to get her in. Miss Valerie. Let's go ahead and get her off of mute real quick. Miss Valerie, thank you for coming in. Introduce yourself and let's get the conversation going.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. My name is Valerie Reiffert, and I am a founder of Radical Registrars. We are a group of deputy registrars here who get people voting and get people registered to vote, but then we also take it a step further and get you voting informed. We create voting guides for Bexar County, as well as other counties, to make sure that you know exactly who you're voting for, what they look like, and what they stand for.
Excellent, excellent. So I think I read you guys in the last election, and this may not be accurate, so I'm glad you're here so you can clear it up. You guys registered over 1,000 people.
Yes. Yeah. Last year in 2020, we formed at the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protest last year. And so I became deputized on June 3rd. And so from June 3rd until that October 5th deadline, we registered over 1,000 people. I actually started keeping count. I wanted to see what we could do in that last month. So and I was off a little bit with my count, but we started on September 7th, and then October 5th deadline, we registered 296 people to vote in that window. And it was probably just about a dozen of us who were like active last year doing that. So yeah, that's what we were able to do last year, and create voting guides for people, and then empower them to let them know that you can vote informed. You can take a piece of paper into the polls with you with your candidate choices written on there. That's something that you can do. So just trying to empower people so they can feel empowered when they go and vote and know what they're doing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I applaud you guys for your efforts, because the first step to civic engagement, beyond being informed and gaining that knowledge, is actually empowering yourself with the ability to vote. And so, again, thank you for that. So something I want to share with you in regards to what as a campaign, what we're working on. So obviously, we want as many people eligible to vote to be in this process. But the biggest thing is getting people to vote, right? So I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm sure you know this data, but I want to just working with other people. I want to make sure that those who are on the call and those who are watching kind of see this. Uh-oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. That's what it was. All right, so we can look at this, and I'm gonna go up to District 2. So I've shared this before. So District 2, and this was back in, I think 2018, maybe, yeah, 2018, had about a population of 180,000. And down here at the bottom, we have 68,000 registered people, right? And then our voter turnout for that, and if you can see, I'm not sure if you can see it right there, but it says the November election was about 12.7%. So that's high for District 2. In a municipal election, we get anything between 7 to 9%. And if there's a runoff, maybe about 10%. So in doing those numbers, we get anywhere between 5,500 to 7,000 people to vote out of 68,000 registered voters, and then 180,000 residents, right? And so my disconnect, or not my disconnect, but I guess my quandary in trying to figure it out is, how do we get beyond the registered to vote to the actual voting piece? And again, as a candidate, obviously, I'm not saying you're supposed to give me all the secrets, but I would appreciate it though if you would. And so just real quick before you respond to that, I'm gonna kind of go through the other districts. So if you look at District 2 for that November election, it's at 12.7. District 3, 22.8. District 4, 14. I'm sorry, District 5, 14.4. District 6, 34.6. And as we go up, the number gets higher, right? My mouse is getting away from me. You have 31.3, District 8, 40.7, and even in District 9, 52.1%. So if you look at that number, 100,000 registered voters, and over 50% of the voters voted, that means over 50,000 people in District 9 voted, when in District 2, and I'm only speaking on District 2 because I'm in District 2, anywhere between 5,500 to 7,000
Yeah.
voted. That's a great disparity. And then if we look at District 10, 38.9%. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen just so we can get back into the thing. So what's your thoughts on that? How do we move to the next level? How do we get more people engaged? What's the next step after registering people?
Yeah, that's the, goal, right? That's what we're trying to get to, is just the highest amount of voter engagement. Yeah, I saw a statistic that said that last municipal election, that only 11% of the entire registered to vote population here even showed up. And so we're just doing ourselves a disservice, right? This is something that I've been saying since I become deputized and have gotten all this knowledge, but you definitely want to vote locally. Yes, it is extremely important to vote every 4 years for the president, but it's even more important to make sure that you are voting locally. Your vote for the president, like, it was the highest turnout last year, but your voice is 1 in 159 million. And that's a lot. And yes, your one voice, it really did matter, but think about how powerful that your voice is locally with that smaller population, and then even smaller into your district. So I really think it is just about going out and reaching as many people as possible and just empowering them, like letting them know, like, it is super easy to get registered to vote. I know a lot of people think that it's some lofty, lengthy process, and it's really not. It's really quick. It's 1 through 10, it's fill it in. It's information that you know off the top of your head. It's just you. It's empowering people to know, especially those who were formerly incarcerated and have a felony on their record, that so long as they are off papers and aren't checking in with anybody and their fines are paid, that you can absolutely get registered to vote and vote. Like, those people's voices are even more important to be heard, because you have been, in the system. You've seen it from the inside and the out. So please, like, use your voice and let people know locally, like, what is going on and how we can get that change. But it's definitely just empowerment. Knowledge is truly power. So the more you know, the more you'll be able to do with it. And then I know for myself, when I feel empowered with information, I want to share it. I want to let people know, like, hey, did you know this? Like, did you know you could do this? Did you know how easy that was? You know how simple that was? And I think it's also important, especially with this election, especially what's on the line this election. Fix SAPD is a grassroots org here that was able to collect 26,000 signatures and get this proposition onto the ballot. So literally, the citizens of San Antonio have the power in their hands to help change this law for police accountability. And I think with the disproportionality of, those who are incarcerated, especially in San Antonio, they're people who look like you and me. And the majority of people who look like you and me in San Antonio are in District 2. So it's empowering ourselves to use our voices, because we just really take for granted how truly important and powerful your one vote is, especially locally with a smaller pool of people.
So Valerie, I'm glad, and thank you for all that information. I'm glad you brought up the Fix SAPD piece, but not on a theoretical side, but more so on a how to get to the next step. So the same question, and I'm not asking for strategy, I'm just going to make a statement. The same question that I asked, okay, we got these people registered, then how do we get them to the polls, knowing that there's such a large disparity on who's registered versus who's voting? And so the same thing, like you said, that organization, Fix SAPD, went out, got those 26,000 signatures, just like you guys got those 268 or whatever it was, people registered, and I'm going to say it's over 1,000. So those over 1,000 people registered. How do we get those 1,000 people to vote? How do we get those 26,000 plus people who push forward to get this on the ballot to vote? Because knowledge is power, but it's a lot of knowledge out there on smartphones, on tablets, on Chromebooks, on computers and libraries, and it still hasn't moved the needle in regards to civic participation.
I think, I think there has been a shift, especially with what happened last year. I think it's really powerful to show that in 2008 and 2012, when Barack Obama was elected, like how many, it really showed like what happens like when Black people show up to vote, right? Like we put the first Black president in office. And I think it also shows what happens when we sit out. We put the most racist, the most recently, racist president in office when we decided to sit that out. And so I really hope, people remember that. I think something wrong with society right now is that we forget too quickly and move on too quickly about what's happened. But I think it's very, very important to remember, these things that have happened, especially when it comes to those elected officials, right? These people that we elect, they are public servants. They work for us, we the people who have elected them. And so I think the solution is definitely knocking on doors, just getting out there and literally knocking on doors and letting people know, hey, do you know there's an election coming up? Are you registered to vote? The deadline to register to vote is April 1st. The early voting starts April 19th through the 27th. Election day is Saturday, May 1st, but we vote early. We vote during April 19th through the 27th. So it's just letting people know, because these local elections are done on off-numbered years by design. Like some of these candidates and officials and locals here rely on low voter turnout, because when there is high voter turnout, more liberal candidates get elected. And so especially after what we just went through in November, and like people are like fatigued, people are like, whoo, we made it, like kind of over it. But it's like, no. Like we have to remind people like, no, that was one battle. But like now, like you have a very local fight going on. Like there is literally a Patriot Party headquarters here in San Antonio, Texas. And we've seen what those people do. Like we know how violent they are and can be, like especially if they have somebody in charge who will encourage them to do such things. So we have to, especially right now, be very, very diligent on who we are voting for. And that's why we create these voting guides, so people know exactly what these people look like and what these people stand for, and make informed, empowered decisions.
Thank you. You're just a wealth of knowledge, Valerie. So I'm gonna ask you this, and then I'm gonna let you close out whatever you want to close out with. So from your perspective, from your understanding, from the work that you do in the community, what is your expectation, and not just of a District 2 City Council person, but of a council person in general, in regards to the things that you see as priorities, the things that you feel should be moved in the communities that we represent? What do you think the role of the council person is?
I think the role of a council person is to definitely represent everyone. You want to represent your district, yes, but you also want to represent the city as a whole. I think, what I would want in a candidate is somebody who truly has a heart to help, but help everyone. Me being a Black woman, I have everything is at stake for me. I have a son, I have family, brothers, and everything is at stake for me. So I think, and especially with what I've heard from the communities, especially from what I've heard in D2, there is a problem with policing in D2. I heard from multiple people when I was out there about how police officers will come to their home and tell them who called the cops on them. They'll tell them that their neighbor called the cops on them. And we know what that causes. That just causes more drama, more infighting, and just more drama. It doesn't cause anything good to happen. And I know for a fact that something like that would never happen in predominantly white areas. So I definitely think that we need council people who care about accountability. There's no unity without accountability. Accountability is not cancel culture. And anybody who thinks that should not be a public servant, because you should want to be held accountable as a leader. You should want, but not just lip service, not going out to a protest and yelling for the city to hold you accountable and then do nothing about it. We need people who are actually going to listen to their constituents and do what these people are asking to do. be proactive about it. Like, I don't think the citizens should have to beg for police to be held accountable. That is a job. That is a job that they signed up to do willingly. And so that is something that should be done like from the heart. Like, police officers too are public servants. They should have a heart to help. Nobody is saying SAFD, right? Nobody is saying F the fire department, because when you are having the worst day of your life, and you have to call the fire department, they are showing up and they are helping. When you are having the worst day of your life and you are calling the police, you should not have to question if you should even call them for your problem to either get solved or get made worse. Like, that's a question that we should not have. So accountability is what we need in our public servants. We need hearts to help, and we need real people who have lived real life experiences, who, have been down, who have gotten back up. Real life people is, I think, what we need in city council.
Thank you for that. And hopefully those who are listening, you're looking at all the candidates and saying, if I agree with Valerie, this is what I want to see in a candidate. And they're looking at every candidate and saying, okay, are those qualities and characteristics there? For me, I heard you say advocacy for the entire district, representing the city as a whole, and then just understanding accountability is a non-starter. It has to be there from the beginning. So I appreciate you, Valerie. How can the community help you in your efforts? You can still register until April 1st for this election. So what can we do? And hopefully Shamika's listening and she can type real fast and get the information on the screen.
Yes. So please make sure you are following Radical Registrars. We are on Facebook and Instagram. We are on Facebook at Radical Registrars, SATX, and we are on Instagram at Radical_Registrars, SATX. Please make sure you are following us. I keep that page updated with educational election information. I made graphics showing which district you're in and have it broken down by zip codes. And then I also have a map so you can narrow in exactly where you are. Please make sure you're following us for these voting guides. We're hoping to be able to get it printed, but if not, please just use it. Click on the link, go through that voting guide.
What do you need? What do you need to get it printed?
We need to finish it.
Okay. And then what?
Get finished, and then figure out how the pages and stuff, and then possibly funding. But we have been yes, that's perfect. Thank you. Radical_Registrars, SATX on Instagram. But funding is always great. We are actually in the process of becoming partners with Black Voters Matter. We are so blessed that they found us and reached out to us. And so we are working on that and becoming a legitimate 501c3c4. So that is upcoming in the future. But please, please, please make sure you are following us online. And we're trying to just make it as simple as possible for you to vote and vote informed. I don't want anybody feeling like me when I was younger and going in and knowing one person I wanted to vote for and seeing a ballot full and just being like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm actually doing. So yes, thank you so much. Yes, it's digital, but remember, you cannot take your phone into the polls. You cannot rely on looking up information on your phone when you're voting. So please, League of Women's Voters has a voting guide. Actually, they're at most voting locations. Walk in and ask, is there a voting guide in here? And somebody should be able to direct you to one. Please use our voting guide digitally. Write down those answers, write down those candidates, write down those names, take it with you. And I'm gonna say it, vote yes for Proposition B. Accountability is not up for debate.
Okay. Thank you, Valerie. And get with Shamika. She might be able to tie you into some supporters to help with some funding. So
that'd be awesome.
We got to help each other. So
yes,
we got to get that out in print so we can take it into the polls with us.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Tyrone. Make sure you respond to our questionnaire that we send you.
I'm trying to finish it today. Block walking gets in the way, but I'll try to finish it.
I understand. We know y'all are busy. Thank you so much, Tyrone. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you having me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, guys. So before we close, because it's probably been the longest one yet, before we close, I want to share a couple of things. So I'm going to go back to my shared screen. All right. All right. So real quick, because a lot of people have told me, Tyrone, I'm not in the district. And then I say, where you live at? And they tell me where they live at. And I say, you are in the district. So we're going to help you. So you're going to go to Google. You're going to type in what city council district am I in? So you see it's already preloaded because I've did it before. And if you want to be clear, we can do San Antonio. And as my son always says, boom. So we're here. So find my council member and neighborhood information. Click on that. And now since y'all are watching, it wants to go slow. Okay, here we go. We own. So we own the city site. And so it comes to this page. Find my council member and neighborhood information. So this is for my council member. So I'm gonna type in the address I love the most, 3278 Martin Luther King Drive. I don't live there, but that's where I grew up. I'm gonna press search. And it's going to tell me, let me see if I can make that bigger. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's going to tell me I'm in City Council District 2. My current City Council member is Jada Andrews Sullivan. Other information like my census tract, that was voter precinct 4037, Walter Perry's district currently. Eastside Substation, San Antonio's municipality. It gives you all this great information. So now you know. So if you don't know if you're in the district, follow the steps that I just did. Google it, click on it, put your address in here, and you got it. Okay? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to close. All right. So I want to leave you guys with this. So we brought Valerie on. They're doing great works. The Radical Registrars are doing great works in the community. And as we talked about, that's a first step. Knowledge is power. If you know you are eligible to register to vote, register to vote. But the next step is actually getting to the point to vote. So my second priority of my 3 R's, rescuing, recovering, and reviving, is recovering. Guys, we had a bond in 2017. And in 2021, we're going to be closing that bond out. So hopefully 2022, we can talk about a new bond. And in the 2023 election, we can vote on it. What we don't want is this. What happens is when these bonds go out for these projects, if the projects don't happen, or if they're underfunded, if they go under budget, that money's saved. And last time this happened, we had over $20 million available to the district, and it went out of the district. I'm talking to people every day. They have infrastructure issues with drainage, sidewalks, streets. They have issues with just the overall beauty of the community. They have issues with the roads. Like there's so many issues that we can use this money for, but we allow it to go outside the district. You know why though? Because only 5,000 to 7,000 people vote. If only 5,000 to 7,000 people vote in District 2, but 25,000 to 30,000 people vote in District 8 or 9, guess who's going to have the bigger voice? District 8 or 9. And if the priority is downtown and the mayor as well as the City Council District 1 rep are there, guess who's going to have the bigger voice? District 1. Guys, the next step is this. Being able to mobilize and empower yourself through the vote. When they see people, when they see numbers, that means something. When I say they, I'm talking about government. I'm talking about city government. I'm talking about the city manager, city staff. When they're making decisions, you know what they say? There's not much going on over there on the east side. There's not much going on over there on Foster Road and FM 78. There's not much going on over there. So we don't have to worry about them. If we don't give them what they want, they're not going to make any noise. They're going to come to the ballot box. Guys, we have to take that next step. So for Valerie and her organization, what they're doing, that's where we begin. The next piece is their voter guide, getting the information out. But in all 12 of our candidates, y'all got to start working. Y'all got to start knocking on these. I'm not saying you're not, but we got to start knocking on these doors and getting the word out. Because if we don't, we're going to have another council member, me, Jada, Walter, Jalen, Farrell, whoever that's in there, and we're whispering because the powers that be see that only 7 to 8% are actually engaged, as opposed to 30, 40, 50% in another district. So with all that being said, that recovery piece that I'm fighting for the first 2 years in office is also going to involve you guys stepping up to the plate. Because if y'all don't scream, I can't holler. And so we got to make sure we're on the same page in all things we want. Better communities, more amenities, better jobs, a more beautiful and clean environment. Guess what? Y'all got to scream. So me or whomever is in that representation place can holler for you. With that being said, I want to thank you guys one last time. It's been 30 minutes, the longest one yet, but it's okay. I think it was productive, impactful, and I truly believe that we're going to make some moves in our community. Thank you again. I'll see you on Thursday. Call Tyrone. Help is on the way. Darden for District 2.